to everyone for playing. Congratulations again to our winners. I hope everyone had a good time. I know I certainly enjoy commentating on some more unique
Right.
matches.
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to see. Like, if you see an Applejack deck, you can kind of guess what they've got in their deck in Harmony. But for when I see Applejack here, I have no idea what I'm going to see. Some orange cards, and that's it.
But yeah, let's go ahead and, as we prepare to move into the Harmony top 8 here, let's discuss some of those top 8 lists. We actually have 7 of them with us. One of them was missing a few subtitles on it.
Oh, that's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, so we'll need to get that corrected. But our players are just unsleeving here. So give me just a moment, and I will see if we can bring some of these up.
Or just the boxes of free stuff over there against the wall.
Well, they came from a different box. I don't put them in there in case they need to go back.
Maybe somebody had a special set.
Should we start at the top and work our way down?
Well, we can either start at the top and work our way down, or we can start at the bottom and work our way up. Which do you think would be more exciting?
Well, how much time do we have before top 8 starts?
Uh, Good question. It'll happen when it happens. I think they're basically going to be jumping in as soon as they can.
Well, let's go ahead and start. Sorry, go ahead.
Uh, we'll do standings for draft. We'll get our top 8 players arranged and have some matches for you there.
Okay, it ties a lot.
Okay, understood.
Tie is one.
Then let's try to blaze through this as quickly as we can.
But yes, functional. Same rule.
Well, I will let you choose top or bottom since I have a little bit of bias.
All right, we'll start at the bottom here. And get things set up. All right, here we go. So this deck list, you'll have to forgive me, I don't actually have names. We're just working in inverse order here. Going 8th place. And this is actually the only DJ that we have in top 8.
Correct.
This is Skitter's deck, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, this is Skitter's deck. He just barely skated by. That draw at the end, if he had lost, I guess he wouldn't have made it.
I think that's correct. So, well, that depends on how they're doing the point scoring, if they're using the official
Oh,
Interplay
right.
tournament.
The
floor
draws
rules.
are worse than double loss. So maybe that's why he wound up at 8th place.
Yeah.
That's been causing some problems here. Like we've had several players tie in draft, and it's just causing all kinds of weird stuff to happen.
That's okay.
Really kind of wish they'd be 2 and 2, but you know, the floor rules. So
Yep. Anyway, looking at the problem deck list, pretty straightforward for what you'd expect of a purple-white pseudo-control deck. You know, you've got some Cheering Up a Friend, some Everfree Rescue Mission. The Mean Meanie Pants I might have rather seen as Figuring Out Friendship.
He might just be afraid he can't confront that.
That's true, although he also does have the 3 RTOs, so maybe that's what he's thinking.
Right.
Of course,
Do you want to link this in chat for people?
I'm actually not over there on Twitch right now. However, I believe you have the link through Skype. I'm starting at the bottom.
Oh, sure. I can do that.
Okay. Yeah, with me getting the VLC and OBS and trying to have Twitch going simultaneously, my bandwidth doesn't like that. Looking at the rest of the deck, you know, we saw a few key pieces yesterday. Pinkie Pie Crystallized, obviously a really fun card for getting extra flips in a color that normally doesn't do
Right.
that. Discord Spirit of Chaos along with Dressed Up, that was always a fun combination back in Premiere. Fashion Week is, of course, great with Crystallized, especially up against Applejack decks that are running Carbo Loader. Still playing 3 stack of Suitcases in the event he
Yep.
runs up against any kind of combo deck. We've got a few cards from newer sets, Rolling Tones for Dismissal, Party of One, of course, for Banishment as well, cleaning up because it's great, and F-Stop to recur a lot of those.
Yes.
2 copies of Cardboard Box dealing with Applejack very well, bit of resource removals from Seabreeze's Flower.
Yeah, and I'm sure if he could, he would love to have run Bulk. Bulk would have fit this deck perfectly well, but there's some problems there.
Yep, there are a few. So instead, just running a bit of other dismissal through Rolling Tones and a bit of recursion through the F-Stop.
So now I do believe he only has the 2 Party of Ones, though he also has F-Stop to recur it, though that's kind of F-Stop dooming himself. And there's also... he has some cleaning ups, I believe.
Yep, 2 copies of Cleaning Up, so a good bit of discard pile recursion.
Right.
And interesting, only Troublemaker is 3 copies of Nightmare Mode.
Right.
But can make some sense, especially if he's got an F-Stop on the field, since that can actually let you offset some of the cost of Nightmare Moon discarding your hand.
Right.
Let's move to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright, so next we have an Apple Vendor deck. I think.
This
No,
is Apple Vendor, but it also doesn't appear to be combo, as is been typical of the most of the Apple Vendor decks.
yeah, this is interesting. At first I was a little concerned I had put in the wrong main, but then I remembered that this person actually had a digital deck list, so we know it's correct.
Yes.
We see Farm Formair able to fetch some great resources like Clipped Wings or Zap Apples, even Seabreeze's Flower, or Singing Barrel to get that white entry.
Correct.
Apple Bloom Remarkable to get a little bit of AT advantage at the beginning.
And not only that, you can get that AT advantage, and then when she stops being useful because you're out of cards, you can retire her to Apple Vendor and get some cards.
Yep, this is true. We see a few copies of Hoity Toity, which can definitely lead to some graveyard or discard pile shenanigans. Got my games mixed up. A few orange control cards through Bailout and Plum Tuckered Out. A couple copies of Nightmare Moon Deep Darkness to shut down opponent's card draw. And Joe's Sticky Glaze, make sure he's staying around at problems. Combine this with Apple Bloom Bloomception, which he's also running 3 copies of, and it's easy to be able to confront problems for minimal AT investment.
Well, and the Zap Apples. Don't forget those.
Oh, I haven't. That's why he's got the Farm Formers there to tutor for them.
Yeah.
Or at least go digging for them. A single copy of Octavia Harsh Judge. Interesting choice there.
Well, the theory there is that he can mill through his deck looking for it.
It does make sense. 3 copies of Singing Barrel, 2 copies of Fancy Pants.
And 3 copies of Aloe.
Not sure how I feel about the aloes here. I understand that they can help him dig a little bit deeper, but the entry is a little light for as much white as he's running for me. Especially with,
I can see that.
Especially with none of them actually having the color requirement. However, if he can get an aloe out and then use Bloomception to boost its power, I could understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Moving
Well,
on.
Bloomception boosts Bloomception's power.
Oh, to this card. I thought it was the other card.
No. Bloomception brings everything to herself. She's a reverse Viddle stand.
Ah. So this one is going to be our 6th place deck. And this is a rather traditional Applejack Ambassador of Honesty deck. This is the one running a bit heavier with friends. I believe this may be Feather's deck.
No, Feathers is far higher. This is Thomas's.
Ah, this is Thomas's. Okay. So we see, a bit of an interesting problem list here. despite the fact that Applejack can get very high power and use some of those cards like Hay Bale Monster Stack or Applejack's Worst Nightmare, he's primarily choosing to run colorless Problems.
Yeah.
And only a single copy of Rock Slide.
To be fair, it can't be confronted later, so the theory there is Applejack is big. By the time it's been cycled out, Applejack is big enough that you don't need the extra flip.
Oh, sure. Makes sense. A few interesting singleton selections. One copy of Star Spur as an alternate entry method into orange. A couple copies of Brayburn to banish as well. One copy of Queen Chrysalis. One copy of Double Diamond Airdrop. Copy of Lasso Champion.
Mm-hmm. Part of that might just be availability to the ultra rare status of some of those cards.
Sure, I can see that. Although I actually agree with the singleton copy of Lasso Champion. I like having one. I don't like seeing two.
Mm-hmm.
Varmint Barricade, Clipped Wings. Pretty traditional stuff. A little bit lighter on the troublemakers than we might otherwise normally see. Only 9 of them. Usually like seeing around 11 myself, but that might just be personal preference. He does have the 3 copies of Popping Corn and the 2 copies of Applejack's Epiphany, though.
Mm-hmm.
And let's move on.
To 5th seed?
Yeah, this is going to be 5th seed. So this is Gala Greeter.
Yeah, that's not a main I have seen used since the first Gen Con.
Yeah, with the updated version of One Pace.
With the unupdated version of One Pace.
Oh, did the updated version move to Princess Luna Dream?
No, the updated version moved to vinyl.
Oh, well, that's true. Well, there were 3 updates to One Pace, to be fair.
There were several, yes.
Yeah.
But vinyl had come out 2 weeks before, but one person was still running original One Pace. And made top 16.
Yeah. Little bit of an interesting choice here with the flooding at Sweet Apple Acres. This player actually has no means of being able to confront this anywhere in their deck.
It's still a really powerful problem with troublemakers. Just the inability to put more friends there easily. You can do that with stuff like a Discord Spirit of Chaos flip or tokens that put things directly into play, but you can't move or play things there. So if you have a high-powered troublemaker and the means to protect it, that can basically mean the opponent is never confronting this problem.
He may also be looking at trying to utilize Gala Greeter forcibly moving a few key pieces of the opponent's team over here.
Mm-hmm.
Cheering up a friend, Which Pinky is Which. Monitor Everything, there's another one we haven't seen for a while. But there are a few copies of I Just Can't Decide. And that does count. No.
For now.
Yes.
Yeah, I Just Can't Decide is actually a problem, or not a problem, a resource that I'm honestly surprised we haven't been seeing more of recently. People go, well, I use TSUV to push back Applejack. It's like, well, Applejack has Bailout and Iron Wills and Trixies and sometimes even Plum-Tuckered Outs.
Mm-hmm.
But all they typically have for I Just Can't Decide is Applejack's Epiphany. And if you use I Just Can't Decide to prevent them from starting that face-off, they're never going to get rid of it.
Right.
So honestly, I think people should be running at least 1, maybe 2 copies of I Just Can't Decide alongside or even possibly in place of their TSUVs if they're afraid of Applejack.
And that's actually what I've done in my deck as well, is 2 copies of I Just Can't Decide, and running pink alongside that with Cardboard Box as well means that you can actually get in a situation where you kind of bait the Applejack's Epiphany, knowing that orange, mono orange, is very unlikely to get anything back from its discard pile ever. So you can bait it for an I just can't decide when the problem may eventually be replaced, and then slap a cardboard box onto Applejack, which can dramatically shut down its ability later.
Right.
Cutie Pox Scare, a lot of kind of tax style effects here, the old taxes style, forced movement, things like Bright Bulb, like Four Step. Truffle Newsworthy is not going to synergize with those since you are the one moving the character, but if the opponent chooses to immediately move back, that can work.
Right.
Trixie Hat, interesting one. A lot of forced movement here.
Trixie Hat is pretty expensive, but it'd be interesting to see how that's working out for them. I also find an interesting choice of Jet Set and Upper Crust. While potent in play, not a card you want to flip.
No, that's true. Let's move on to seed. Is this 4 now?
Unless that's the one you're skipping. I'm not sure which one you're skipping here.
No, we're skipping 2.
Oh, okay. Then we are moving on to 4th seed, yes. This one is Feather's deck.
Okay, here we go. That seems like a little more of what I would have expected. So here we see Rock Slide, Fruit Bat Roundup, Jailbreak, Applejack's Worst Nightmare, all great cards for an Applejack mid-range farming deck. As she discussed with us yesterday on stream, she goes a little bit heavier on the friends here just because the threat of cardboard box is very real. And there's no guarantee you're going to draw into that AJ's Epiphany.
Right.
Choosing to keep the variety of cards in her deck very, very small in favor of consistency, and I like that. There's only 3 cards here that aren't being run at full playsets, and they aren't cards I really want to see at full playsets.
Right, yeah, and by running only 2 of Nightmare Moon and 2 of Flim and Flam, that decreases the chance of flipping a 2.
Right.
Because she only has the 4.
Exactly. The rest of it, again, straightforward stuff. Iron Will, very good for shutting down opposing friends like Snips and Snails Problem Solvers. Carbo Loader to get those extra flips. Big Mac, because apparently Earth Ponies can have wings and horns too.
Yeah.
Clip Wings, Bailout, and Popping Corn, all as friend disruption. And Appaloosa against some of the hard removal that you might otherwise see in a format.
Well, also your own villains.
Sure, of course. And then a much heavier Troublemaker suite, which in an Applejack deck, especially one that's not
Feathers
all
likes loading up on Troublemakers, and it works for her. She especially likes the Starlight Glimmer because that allows Applejack to challenge something a turn earlier.
Oh, absolutely.
By going turn 1 Epic at Rock Slide, Glimmer at the other problem, uncover them both, move Applejack to Rock Slide, fight that hopefully 5-power Troublemaker.
Right, absolutely. After seeing Glimmer in action, I 100% agree that she should be as a full playset in Applejack decks for that killer turn. The Spike, I'm a little bit less solid on. But that may just come down to personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
I might have rather seen something, if you're going to run a zero-cost Troublemaker, and I'm not even sure I would in this case, instead of running maybe a few flips, I might have run something like Double Diamond instead.
You mean a 0 point?
Yeah, a 0-point Troublemaker.
I would not run Double Diamond in Applejack, because Applejack tends... Like, one of Applejack's strategies is to not play things and draw cards.
Actually, interesting. No Nightmare Moons here.
Correct, and the reason for that is because she prefers the lower, the easier to beat Troublemakers. She's running a full play set of the 5-power villains, all 3, and then Trixie, because Trixie is very powerful and slightly easier to beat than Nightmare Moon.
Sure.
The cost here is she does not have any 3 bonus Troublemakers.
Right. And I can understand that. Um, although, since she is running 2 copies of Applejack's Worst Nightmare, you might have been able to sneak in a Chrysalis or 2 there, even if you held them back for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Carbo Loaders and a lot more friends than most other people would be dealing with.
Now, instead of Spike, what do you think of Discord?
Well, I've played Discord before in a mod style deck, and he's interesting, but I think he lends himself more towards a control style.
Mm-hmm.
I like Discord as a troublemaker. I think he's underutilized. And of course, we're talking about the Discord Utter Pandemonium.
Correct, the villain, not the troublemaker.
Right. However, I don't think he would mesh with this particular style. If you're going to run a 7-power troublemaker, I'd rather see Nightmare Moon there. Anyway, let's move on to seed number 3.
Now, this is Jared, also known as Dark Jester, who was a little disappointed I didn't catch who he was on stream. Not terribly disappointed, just a little bit, because he did flash his badge and we didn't catch it. And he was the purple-blue player we saw yesterday against Feathers.
Yeah, this was a very interesting deck. So running Princess Luna Dream Warrior, but not the aggro version you might expect to see.
No,
So
more of a mid-range.
Yep. Few interesting problems. Crash Course, Ready to Fight, Winter is Coming. 2 copies of Fire when ready, probably as Troublemaker Busters, since he's not running any Troublemakers of his own.
Correct.
A few things you would normally expect to see in a Luna deck. Nightlighter overpowering, Prince Rutherford. Spitfire has actually done quite well in Luna as well. And
yeah, the portal shenanigans that this deck can perform are quite nice.
Yep. Cloud Chaser gets some AT efficiency. And then an interesting suite of purple. Good amount of entry. Note the 6 purple entry in the Earth Pony Friends. That's relevant.
Absolutely.
Zecora, 2 of those, either to play late game or banish early. Couple Princess Luna, Wax and Wane. You'll actually notice that every single purple friend that has purple requirement can be met just with a single banish of Zecora, or a single copy of one of the 2 entry friends.
Correct.
A resource removal through Special Beam Cannon absolutely makes sense, and some Troublemaker Busters through Epic Win. With cards like Utterly Drained, Epic Win, the Earth Pony entry, all of that as well. This definitely feels like a deck that was, and the Fire when ready, it feels like a deck that was tailored for a meta that's heavy in Applejack.
Well, not Applejack and Vinyl, actually. Utterly Drained is good on Vinyl. Actually, Utterly Drained is good on pretty much every main in the format right now.
Sure. Princess Twilight Sparkle, a very good one.
Yeah. Turn off the Meticulous and the AT gain. Vinyl's card draw. The Applejack's Diligent, though not the power counters. The power counters do stick around.
Yes, they do.
But she can't divvy them up anymore either, which can be very relevant. It just shuts down Octavia hard. Octavia just does not want to ever get utterly drained.
No, especially with white typically having to play resource removal through Seabreeze's Flower.
Yeah, and then the combo decks that use Apple Vendor, well, you're not going to be doing much if your main doesn't let you retire things.
That's exactly right.
So yeah, Utterly Drained is a purple card that I always consider in my purple decks from now on, because it can really shut down main strategies.
Yep, read the manual for a bit of AT acceleration, some Princess Luna, Wax, and Wane if your opponent's playing a Blitz aggro strategy, and call in the Dream Cavalry to make up for the fact that you're not as aggressively costed as far as AT goes compared to other Luna decks. This was one of the more unique decks that we had seen, excepting, of course, one that's coming up here soon. And I'm really curious to see how Dark Jester does.
Now we're skipping second seed, who was running a mono purple Ambassador of Friendship deck. Maybe we can get an updated deck list when RCAT posts these online, but for right now, it does look like we just don't quite have the correct cards here. There are definitely some missing words.
Yeah,
on this deck list.
it definitely leaves a few things a bit unclear. So instead, let's just go on to, I think, the one you've been waiting for, Bugle.
I have no idea what you are talking about. I deny all allegations of any bias whatsoever.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the derpiest deck I have ever seen since the start of this game. Bugle, you want to tell us a bit about this thing?
Sure. Actually, give me just a second. I forgot to link the third seed. I thought I did, but give me just a second to do that.
Sure, no problem.
Oh no, my Twitch was just being silly. Let me link first seed then real quick. So this is the deck that I have affectionately labeled Greed.deck.
This is Zipper Will Control.
Zipper Will Control. So you might notice there are 1 or 2 or 10 singletons and a lot of doubles. And the reason for this is the 7 Meticulous lets you... I mean, obviously you're not typically going to have 7 Meticulous, but the large number of Meticulous, you'll typically get 2 or 3 in a game, will let you pick and choose the cards to your situation, and then F-Stop lets you recur them quite effectively. This is a strategy that I actually borrowed from Nation, who some of you might remember as splitting top 2 at the first Gen Con. This is a deck that I borrowed... Well, the F-Stop recursion with Meticulous is an idea that I borrowed from him. I just really wanted to play a Zipper Will deck, and it wound up being one of the craziest things I have ever designed.
So what's the overall goal?
The overall goal is to get out 1 Zipper Will, and 1 F-Stop, and somehow be able to place 2 critters into play on the opponent's turn every single turn for the remainder of the game. Because basically, even if you don't have a Troublemaker up, that is an immediate speed TSUV. And if you're using Rise and Shine, that's an immediate speed 2 cost TSUV. 1 for the F-Stop bringing back the Rise and Shine, and 1 for the Rise and Shine itself. In the meantime, you're also advancing your board position, getting up to apparently 21 different critters. At least 21's the highest I've seen.
I'm sure you could go higher.
And once you've got enough board position, you can use photo finishes to help close out the game. Because again, the idea here is your opponent shouldn't be confronting if all things go well, because Zipper Will is just denying everything forever and ever and ever.
You got a few troublemakers in here. The Ari Mosbys obviously make sense to stop opposing villains from flipping, but tell us about the Yellow Parasprites.
So
I know you have I know you have a special love affair with Yellow Parasprite.
So Yellow Parasprite might have low power, and it might give the opponent a point, but it still disrupts the opponent every turn, guaranteed, no matter what they do. Unless they somehow manage to turn off the Yellow Parasprite, I suppose. Or, of course, defeating the Yellow Parasprite. And the theory is that Zipper Will can protect that more effectively than almost any other card in the game. Maybe Carbo Loader is a little bit more effective. But as long as it's there, the opponent is losing a card a turn. Even if they started with no cards in their hand, they still draw before Troublemaker phase, and they will wind up discarding that card. Compared to Tantabus, which makes them lose AT at the end of turn, if they spend all their AT, they didn't actually lose any resources. So the 1 point possible downside doesn't offset all of the upside that, in my opinion, Yellow Parasprite provides.
Okay.
This does, however, mean that your control deck does have a 3.02 flip average, which is a little on the low side.
It is. But from what we saw, there's almost no face-off where you don't have enough tricks to leverage your advantage.
Correct. With the 2 interdimensional portals, which are very effective if you have a Zipper Will and a Furball in play, the 2 Nap Cakes, and the 2 Rise and Shines, again effective with Zipper Will, you've got a lot of ways of denying face-offs. And you've also got Opalescence, which is a really interesting card to use Interdimensional Portal with, because they will get back the friend that Opalescence originally banished, though that will be at home, typically, unless for some reason you want it at a problem.
Right.
And then you can use the Opalescence to temporarily banish something that is currently involved in the face-off. And if you've got a Zipper Will, move something back as well.
So just tricks for days.
This, despite having no Trixies, and Trixie was considered for this deck has plenty of tricks up its sleeve. Now, the thing that I really want to discuss is a really boring thing. Most people don't typically care about it. I want to discuss the entry for this deck. It's a little weird if you're looking at it. There's the 3 Aloysiuses, the 3 Royal Guidances, the 3 Singing Barrels, and the 1 Makeover. And of course, technically, the Ancient Research, which will allow you to flip Twilight typically, though if the opponent gets rid of it, that's where the Aloysiuses come very much in handy. Now, the Aloysius is there for 3 reasons. It's a critter, so it triggers your Zipper Will. It's purple entry if you can't flip Twilight, and being meticulous will flip Twilight. And then again, the more meticulous triggers, the further into your deck you can go to find those cards that you want. Then there's the Royal Guidance, and I'm a bit paranoid when it comes to Twilight Sparkle. There are a ton of Snips and Snails in the format. Then there's Bluna, who wants to do the turn 2 DFO, and so on and so forth. I cannot rely on Ancient Research, so I'm paranoid, and I like to shove at least 6 purple entry. And unfortunately, I didn't want 6 purple entry and 6 yellow entry, so, or being 12 cards. So the only card that filled this role of being purple entry and yellow entry was Royal Guidance.
I think now that we have cards like Singing Barrel and Makeover, a lot of people forget that the old fixer events are still a very viable method of getting high entry early for low AT investment.
Yeah, exactly. Like, typically you want to flip your main, and I agree. You want your main flipped. That is a good thing, but sometimes it doesn't happen. And that's where stuff like the Royal Guidance-esque events can really come in handy. Now, if your main does flip, that's where the Singing Barrel comes in, which helps with both the yellow and the white, of course, as does the single copy of Makeover, just because I was like, I kind of would like just a little bit more entry, just in case something happens to all my barrels, or just something, And also, technically, the 2 copies of Opalescence are in there simply because F-Stop is not enough entry for F-Stop.
Yeah, that one's a little silly.
Yeah, so I like having the 2 Opals in there, and it was either Opal or Harsh Judge, and I went with Opal because she's a critter, and then the 2 Opal, a single Opal lets you play an F-Stop later, or an Opal plus an F-Stop lets you play a photo finish without needing to replay barrels or make overs.
It makes sense.
So, yeah, this deck is all over the place. I apologize for monopolizing all the time about this. I am going to try and make a primer on this later.
For now, thank you for sharing that with us.
Anyway, do we have an estimate for when top 8 will actually start here.
Very shortly.
Okay.
We're currently selecting who will be on stream.
Understood.
Ah, okay.
Then I think we'll take.
Actually, we were gonna ask you guys.
Oh, who we'd like to see on stream?
Yeah.
Let's put. I'm assuming you're doing the 1v8, 2v7, 3v6, 4v5.
Yeah.
1v8, but yeah, you get the idea.
Okay. Let's put the. I don't know, Beagle. Do you want to see the? Let's save the top seed for the end, or do you want to put top seed at the beginning?
Well,
Okay, so the top seed is going to refuse to play on stream for this first match just because this is going to be the most insane match, and I really am kind of disappointed that we won't be able to show it. But I mean, let's
I
respect the
admit
players.
I was rather looking forward to seeing Skitter's deck versus the Zipperwell deck,
Yep.
but Ponka is a little worried about that matchup. He's worried about the party of ones specifically. So if he does not want to be on stream, that's just fine.
In that case, let's just go down to the 2v7. Well, actually, you know what? Didn't we have the favorite of Dark Jester? We wanted to see the Luna again.
I'm kind of interested in seeing Dark Jester's deck again as well. He is in a favorable 3 versus 6.
Yeah, let's put Dark Jester and his opponent on stream.
Though that will be similar to the Dark Jester deck, or the Dark Jester's match we've already seen, because he will be against an Applejack. Meanwhile, we have not. I don't believe we've seen the 2nd seed or the 7th seed on camera.
Oh, have we not?
Let's do that.
Okay.
Okay, so they have accepted, so they will be on stream.
Okay, 2nd and 7th?
Yep.
Okay.
Dark Jester and Thomas.
Okay, so 3rd and 6th then. That's
Okay.
fine.
That's fine. All right, then we will get started here very shortly.
Okay, so we should have the stream going live shortly for everyone.
Sounds great. Looking forward to some good games. Hopefully they will be good games.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
No color screw, hopefully. Now,
Hopefully not.
how this is going to work out is, despite the fact that this is technically not a Tier 2 environment, they are pretending it is a Tier 2 environment. So these will be 45-minute rounds rather than 30, and each player will have 5 minutes to look at the opponent's deck before the game starts. They cannot consult these deck lists throughout the match, but they can take notes during those initial 5 minutes.
Now, they're not going to be able to bring in those notes to their games, correct?
No, you can consult your notes, you cannot consult the deck list.
Give me one moment here.
So it looks like they looked through everyone's deck, so decks have been pre-sorted for everyone, so they need to be rather thoroughly shuffled.
Okay, so we actually need to clarify this. Notes taken prior to a match are not allowed to be used during that match.
Really?
Yes.
Then
And
what's the benefit of taking the notes?
they shouldn't be taking notes. I'm not sure
Oh,
who.
okay.
I'm not sure who issued that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that is
Because I know that was how it worked during Gen Con. You could take the notes, and you had the notes there during Gen Con last year.
but we've had an update to the tournament floor rules since then, sir.
Okay, fair enough.
Outside assistance, notes taken during a match or note taking during a match is allowed, provided it happens in a
Okay.
timely fashion. Notes taken prior to a match may not be used during that match.
Okay. And this initial 5 minutes does not count?
I mean, they're more than welcome to take notes as long as they don't bring those notes into the game itself.
Fair enough. So we saw Bluna versus Applejack. Now, a different player, of course, but we saw Dark Jester versus Applejack before.
Yeah, was that against Feathers?
Yes, that was against Feathers. That was Feathers' one loss.
So, with this slightly more unique Applejack deck, this is not the one that's running Apple Vendor. This is the one that's just running a few singleton cards, maybe just due to limited availability in pool.
Correct.
I think I'm going to give the edge to Dark Jester here, just in terms of consistency of his deck. But I'm curious.
And he's been playing against Applejack decks all day yesterday. I'm not expecting. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's a local, but I'm not expecting Thomas to know as well the Bluna deck, especially since it's not a traditional deck at all.
Yeah, that should be a bit of a surprise to him when he sees some of the purple control coming down.
Well, he should at least go, oh, this is blue-purple, because of the initial 5 minutes there. So he shouldn't be surprised, oh, my opponent's playing purple, but he might still be surprised at some of the plays, especially with the portals. Now, does this deck have Iron Will?
There is one copy of Iron Will.
One copy of Iron Will. Now, I remember that gave Dark Jester some trouble yesterday.
I can see how it would.
Okay. Just a quick check to make sure the stream works.
Yes.
All right. Good luck to our players.
Absolutely.
We are... Ara, can you double check, is the stream live right now? Should we have video?
It's live on my end. Or do you mean live on Twitch?
No, live on your end. I actually am not seeing video here.
Oh, well, you should reconnect. I had to reconnect.
Let's see if this fixes it. Yep, there we go. Okay, Rock Slide, Underlock, and Trees, starting problems. To be expected.
Sounds like Dark Jester's keeping. And I see an Owie Zodal on Thomas's hand there. So that's what he wants to see.
He's got a Clipped Wings, a Sea Breeze's Flower as well.
Yes.
Looks like Dr. Hooves and Bonbon for entry, as well as Interdimensional Portal and a Rutherford over on Dark Jester's side.
Yeah, so he's got some gas.
Yep, Owie Zodal turn 1.
Mm-hmm.
Get that set up for Rock Slide.
Not double trouble, which is what Dark Jester would be hoping for at this point.
Draws a Spitfire. Passes the turn.
Yes. Not afraid of standstills against Applejack.
Nope. Double Sea Breeze's Flower. Not great to see this early in the game for Applejack, although there are a few resources that could be disruptive to him. Notably the Utterly Drained.
Yes. And he can do that without starting a face-off too, but still, probably wouldn't be too terribly pleased having to use them.
Yeah, I would imagine not.
So do you play Bonbon or do you play the Doctor here? Oh. Yeah, he says, no, I'm going to deny your double flips.
I agree with this.
I actually do too. He doesn't want that extra point. And if Applejack loses, then he's in a position to challenge Alizodal himself with possibly 2 flips.
So then with this draw here, he's got the barrel through in hand. I think I probably still challenge.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so he's at 3, flipping 1.
So that's 8 versus 5. So he's going to play that barrel through, and if he flips another camo out, he's going to be sad. Nope, that will win him by 1.
Yep.
But still, Dark Jester's okay with that trade because he got the barrel throughout, and I mean, it's not ideal, but he did make Applejack spend an AT and a card.
Sure, and there's a carbo loader on the bottom.
Right. So, not the best scenario, but still fine. Is that another barrel through in hand? I think it is. So Applejack was pretty confident he was going to win that.
Getting
Oh,
scores
double
up for our
diamond
players
in
right now.
hand.
It's the only double diamond in his deck.
You don't have the score overlay up, by the way.
I know. I said I was getting it up.
Oh, okay. So now he's got the Rutherford in hand, but nothing to frighten. He can DFO. Would you DFO that rock slide away, even though you're wasting a Rutherford?
Whew.
Now there's no troublemaker there, so I still might wait.
Right. Without seeing the opponent drop that troublemaker, knowing that he saved AT, he's got 2 AT banked up, you've got to assume the opponent is not holding on to additional troublemakers in his hand.
Right. So I
So-
think the correct call here is take your point, wait and see what happens.
I
Because maybe
agree.
a friend will hit play like that double diamond in hand, and being, oh, he's just gonna play Spitfire. Oh, and he can drag over Luna and... Yeah, he's dragging over Luna. Oh, no?
No, it looks like he's just going to leave things as they are.
Oh, no, that is a DFO. That is a DFO.
Yep.
Yeah. So he does get rid of the problem and wins. He loses that Night Glider, but he already had a Night Glider in hand, so he's not too upset about that.
Right, and now he's going to force Applejack to spend more AT moving back to confront.
Oh, well, that mod was flipped. That mod should not still be in play.
Yeah, we do need to get that corrected. If there's any of the floor judges currently watching. There we go.
Simple mistake to make.
Oh, yeah.
So now
Ooh.
Dark Jester goes up. He's at 3 points and got rid of that rather obnoxious problem. On the other hand, I think that I think he actually likes seeing the fire when ready here because Applejack can't confront it, and if he plays a troublemaker, he has a hasty Rutherford in hand to just make that troublemaker go away.
Absolutely.
So I think that's actually just fine for him.
Mm-hmm. Applejack really needs to try to reach that critical mass like you were talking about yesterday once you get above 7 power or so. And so
Now,
troublemaker face-off tricks this early, especially in the form of a problem, can be very, very strong.
yeah. Now, Applejack is at 5 and can just confront that problem. So, there is that small problem. Playing double diamond. So, now if I'm Dark Jester, I'm just going to Rutherford that. Oh, and he moved a counter on to double diamond to score.
I guess he didn't have the AT to do that quite yet.
Well, no, yeah, Dark Jester blew all his AT last turn, but...
You mean this turn played the Rutherford?
No, the previous turn. He hasn't played the Rutherford yet.
Right.
Now that it is
I mean
his turn.
this turn.
Yeah.
This turn, do you play the Rutherford? And if so, do you...
He won't be able to confront. He might just wait. Like, I wouldn't play it now. I would play it on my opponent's turn if I did play it.
Do you not even bother playing the Rutherford to fire when ready at this point? You know your opponent still hasn't drawn any troublemakers yet. They've got a friend out at a problem. You have the ability to really set them back here.
Yeah, I would wait. Like, I would wait and see what he does. If he plays a Troublemaker, maybe you wait another turn. If he doesn't play a Troublemaker, I think you just play it, drag up Luna, and then next turn confront. He also has portals, so he can always just portal to that fire when ready. So I don't think he needs to save Rutherford for that.
That's true.
Now, there's a Popping Corn, so that will also muck up Dark Jester's plans.
Now remember,
So-
Dark Jester is not in a position to play Portal right now. Portal has a 3 requirement.
Oh, that's true, but he does have the Who's.
Yep, and he is going to be playing that to prevent his opponent from confronting him.
And it was, yep, bringing up Luna. And then at this point, he'll have 4 AT on his turn. I think you play Doctor Who's and attempt to confront, possibly walk into that Popping Corn, possibly not. But then you have the mana open for Portal.
Right, I think you actually... Yep, play Doctor Who's over there.
Yep. Popping Corn, yep. So no points. Our glorious 2-3 score continues.
I believe it's actually 3-all, because Applejack did confront the first turn with Double Diamond.
Oh, right, yes. So 3-3. My mistake. Well, this is some good back and forth going on here. Though, I'm betting the Applejack player... Now Applejack cannot confront that on her own. Would have to ready the Double Diamond. And I'm not sure she wants to do... Oh, she has the Brayburn in hand to just rally Double Diamond. Which is not a bad thing.
That's true.
That would put him at 4, and then he could move the counter for 5 and have that exhaust ready there.
Yeah, grab another point, try to get that advantage.
Right. Of course, Dark Jester has that Zecora in hand. I don't think this Double Diamond is... Yep, saw this play, rallying.
Now,
And I think you move the counter.
Yep, and
Yep.
now here's the unfortunate part. If you're Dark Jester, I think you go and you portal the Rutherford, maybe over to Fire when ready.
No, because I think you just want to score the point here. You want to save that Fire when ready for when a Troublemaker comes.
Okay, so he's just putting it back with the same problem.
Yes.
Okay, taking that point.
So denying that point again. Yeah. And now he's just in a position to... He does not need to spend any action tokens to confront here. And there won't be a face-off. And now he's used up all of the counters on Applejack. He's actually in a very good position.
Yep.
Like, I'm really liking this position. And he's got the 2 Swift tokens, and I think he has another portal in hand?
He
So he
might.
can basically pop that whenever he wants. Of course, Applejack has to consider doing that himself at one point.
He might consider doing it here. He's got so many action tokens saved up now. It looks like 7.
Yeah. He has that Camel mod in hand, but there's not really any enticing targets.
No, with interdimensional portal being the primary flicker method, that's going to make it a new friend.
Right. I mean, he could turn off a Swift Pegasus, but that's it.
Looks like a Queen Chrysalis in hand, perhaps.
Maybe. He does have the single copy. He could copy the Double Diamond, come into play as a 5-power Double Diamond.
I actually meant the... Oh no, it's an Aoizotl Troublemaker. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
It does have a Carbo Loader in hand, though. We can see that. Yeah, it's the Dev promo Aoizotl.
Sounds like Ponka lost to Skitter.
Okay, so plays the Carbo Loader, cracks that problem, says, I don't want to give this to you.
Right.
Flips a Ready to Fight for his opponent and a...
Was that blending in?
Yeah.
Yes. Blending in is going to be a little rough for for Dark Jester, though definitely doable.
Oh, sure, especially with the Spitfire.
Right.
A
But
single bounce of Spitfire can actually bring over Luna as well, and that'll be more than enough to confront.
but at the same time as having Ready to Fight, which requires 6 blue, that's a little hard because he needs either 6 blue or 7 of the same color.
He might consider trying to do it with his purple entry if he draws into his Akora then.
He has a Sakura in hand, the multicolor.
Right.
And that's another Rutherford in hand and a Night Glider. Oof.
Despite one being flipped earlier.
Yeah, well, he had a Night Glider in hand before that, so he's got a really good hand. On the other hand, that Carbo Loader is going to fight that Night Glider quite nicely. Especially with that Brayburn at home.
Yep.
What color? Character that color can't confront, so you just say orange, we confront with orange. Just means if you have like two colors there, it's gonna be hard for you.
Players discussing something here quickly.
Yeah, discussing how blending in works. So, does he have 3 action tokens or 4 action tokens?
Who, Applejack?
Yes. If he has 4, you might just move both your Applejacks and confront blending in.
Yep, and that's
So
exactly
here
what
they
he's doing.
come. And there's a Rutherford in hand. Do you think that Rutherford is coming down?
Oh, it might
Frighten
be.
that Carbo Loader, deny that point?
If he does that, he's got the option to move some critter tokens.
It might be worth it, though, to save that until... Well, those are Pegasus tokens, but it might be worth it
Yeah,
to
Pegasus
save
tokens.
until he actually starts a face-off with that Night Glider in hand.
Well, I'm trying to think of what I'd do if I'm in his position here.
Oh, so apparently I'm listening to the background chatter here. Ponka discarded all his entry due to a Nightmare Moon flip,
Ooh, that's rough.
and that's why he couldn't win. So play that Aoizodal, move up Applejack, try and get some Diligent counters on her.
Yeah, you've got to get those back. I'm not sure I would have been spending those counters this early in the game. I understand the confronting is good, but...
And playing a Camo Mod to home just for the extra flip for Carbo Loader.
Rutherford frightening that Carbo Loader.
See, I would have saved that, I think, until the Troublemaker challenge had already happened.
I don't actually think so, because
Oh, no,
this is
you're
going to
right,
set him up...
because
yeah,
Carbo could confront earlier as well.
right,
Or
and
yeah.
Applejack's not going to have the ability to unfrighten Carbo Loader before the face-off would happen.
Right.
And this moves Luna up.
Yeah, and then you move up the Swift token for a point.
Portal Spitfire, spend the other token, move it over there and confront.
Trying to...
He's got the DFO.
Yeah, getting the DFO here by moving Luna.
Nope, not Luna, the other Swift token.
Oh, he didn't need to, though, because he could have...
No,
He could have
he's
moved Luna during confront step.
He could have, but this is guaranteeing him a bunch of power.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, and another Carbo Loader gone.
So there's only the one Carbo Loader left, but that is a 4-point swing for Dark Jester.
Yep,
And he was already fairly ahead.
he was up 1 point, 4-3.
Well, fair
board
enough.
presence-wise. Yeah, so he's
There's
got
another Ready to Fight.
He's got a 5-point lead right now.
Is that another? Oh, that's the one that for each color for wild required is 1 higher.
Right, Cult of Personality.
Yes. Effectively a 5/7, possibly higher for either player. Unless you are playing mono-colorless, I guess.
There's the Azotl, but no more Applejack there to challenge.
No more Applejack. Now he's got that Zecora in hand, so I think what Applejack is going to do is pay 2 to move, pay 2 to rally. Right. And now Zecora is going to come down, dragging Luna, getting another point, frightening Carboloader in the process. Unfortunately, that Carboloader is going home, which is where Dark Jester doesn't want it.
Right.
But still, he manages to score that extra point. And just... Now, Applejack will still challenge that Alizodal at 3 versus 5, because he will be going home regardless. So still might win that face-off.
Zecora coming down.
Right. Well, it has to go home. Zecora specifies home.
Mm.
I like how Dark Jester always says a glorious one. 1 is, of course, the most glorious number.
It's also the loneliest number.
So, Dark Jester now has 3 times the points of Applejack at 9 versus 3. Yeah, Applejack has to challenge here. Alizodal will send her home regardless.
Flips a 4 to the 3.
Yeah, so barely misses, but that barrel through says, no, I want to win this. You have denied me too many points, too many action tokens. I want to win this.
Gets that point value back up to 5.
Yeah. So up to 5. And Applejack goes up to 5 as well, power-wise. So now Applejack can confront that problem.
Up to 5.
Yeah. So a pile of presents. No reason not to play that.
Sure, it's a free card. If your opponent is trying to draw into stuff, you don't have the Carboloader at home, so you don't have the Unfrightened Carboloader at home, so you don't have to worry about leaving your friends ready.
Right.
Double checking the read on Spitfire.
Yeah.
Wing Leader making those extra tokens. So you don't have to worry about leaving your friends ready.
Right.
Double checking the read on Spitfire.
Yeah.
Wing Leader making those extra tokens.
So, you know your opponent has Night Glider, so you have to rally that Carboloader, right? Because if Dark Dresser initiates and wins a double face-off, with Night Glider, he will get 6 points and the game. So we rallied the double diamond instead of the Carboloader.
How do you feel about that decision?
He misunderstood how the double diamond works, so he's grabbing the Carboloader instead. And Dark Jester allowed it.
Well, they don't have effects now.
Yeah, exactly. I know. That's why I can't even counter it. Like, I got
So Dark Dresser will have 5 action tokens on his turn, 2 of which possibly for... Now, if he has a Zakora and a no, if he has a hasty friend and the Night Glider, he can start a DFO here. And if that hasty friend is Rutherford, and we know he has a Rutherford in hand, yeah. So I think the call here is play Night Glider, then play confront Firewind ready or not Firewind, ready to fight. Hasty in Night Glider, or not a Night Glider. Let me start over. Play Night Glider, Hasty in Rutherford during score phase after confronting ready to fight, frightening that carbo loader. Okay, so he's going to go for a safer route, I think.
Go to my score phase.
He moves the Zagora, just keep that frighten up.
Right.
I have 12. No, I'm sorry, I have 14.
Maybe he just doesn't want to count on winning face-offs of 5 or more against Orange. But that will still put him to 13 points, so he's in a pretty good spot.
Glorious.
Yeah, I missed a few points there. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
When I punch, I made dismissive, right?
So you have 13 to 6.
Yep, that's what I've got.
We may go. Home limit. No, I'm sorry, my home.
And is that a Winter is coming over on Dark Jester's side?
Yeah, that's winter is coming. But yeah, Dark Jester's in a really good spot here.
Oh yeah, up 7 points, keeping that carbo loader frightened. Applejack hasn't been able to really get that power up as high as his player would like, and not a lot of troublemakers on the field or in hand. In fact, no troublemakers on the field. Applejack looking at the different options, thinking maybe I can unfrighten something that'll give me the edge I need here. But without that point acceleration from troublemakers, it's going to be difficult to come back. Only 480 to work with.
I mean, he can at least confront for 1 here.
I mean, you've seen that I played a lot of them. So.
How many can you have?
Now, of course, Dark Jester is in fact holding a Rutherford in hand, so he knows exactly how many. So, if he can confront Underlock and Tree and win that face-off, that is the 2 points he needs to win the game. Oh, looks like he's just going to go for the double confront and the win here.
Yeah, with that call in the Dream Cavalry, being able to move everything up there.
And then he can just pay 3 to move his other 3 friends and more Rutherfords.
Spending 2, move the Luna, spend 1, move Spitfire. Oh, playing a Night Glider.
Yeah, he's had that for a while, but
It's as good a time as any to play it.
yeah.
More for the competitive than anything else. There's the popping corn.
The popping corn. Well, he only needs to confront. Yeah. But he's playing the Night Glider because in case of a popping corn at the Sakura problem there, then he could win the face-off.
Right.
and win there, but the popping corn had to be at that problem, otherwise Dark Jester would just win like that, yeah. So Dark Jester needs to spend 0 AT to win next turn. That's a pretty good spot to be in.
Yeah, I'd say as far as comfortable victory positions, spending 0 AT to win the game seems pretty good.
I mean, the best you can possibly do in Applejack situation is DFO, win the face-off, score 3 points, send everything home, and hope that he has enough action tokens and events in hand to prevent a confront, which is going to be difficult to do.
I just don't think you have a means of doing it. I don't think you can do it with the AT you've got, having already spent the popping corns earlier.
Right.
I probably wouldn't have kept that early hand with only one troublemaker. And you know, that's something that's a difficult skill to learn, is when do you mulligan?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you may have a hand that's playable, but is playable really something you're willing to settle for against certain matchups? And again, he may not have known. Well, he did see the deck list earlier, so...
Thanks for making me unorganized and reorganize my cards. The shuffles were really well in my favor.
So, Applejack's considering every possible move here. Does have that Queen Chrysalis in hand, can copy like a Spitfire. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be... Pretty sure Dark Jester is going to win this. If not next turn, the turn after, Applejack needs to stop several confronts while scoring massive amounts of points in the process. It's going to be very, very hard.
Yes. Nightmare Moon, Clipped Wings, not really going to do a lot to stop those confronts.
Not with an aggressive deck like this. Now, so that's one of the interesting things about Dark Chester's deck. It can play rather aggressive, or it can play rather controlling, depending on the situation, which is, in my opinion, what makes a mid-range deck mid-range. When it swaps between the two, you know, isn't quite as efficient as one or the other.
I think it's a combination of tools for both inside the deck.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And
it's really... It may be better to actually refer to his deck as a tempo deck, since he does kind of have a curve as he goes through. He's going to get the early game threats down with the Luna early confront, and then moves into more controlling style through cards like Wax and Wayne, Zecora, more Rutherfords, and tries to keep that that board under control.
so what did Chrysalis copy?
I'm assuming it was a Carva Loader. We'll have to
I
see.
think it was Night Glider, actually.
Night Glider would work too. Get that competitive power. It is going to allow him to confront. Flips the Iron Will for 3, plus Chrysalis competitive 2. He's not going to be winning it by 5, I don't believe. 13 versus...
13 versus 9 is
Nope.
1 off.
Just shy.
Yeah. Well, now, with no action tokens left on Thomas's side, and Dark Jester needs to spend 0 action tokens to confront that, what do you think the odds are?
I'm going to go 100-0 in Jester's favor. Applejack has literally no tricks left, no
Yeah.
action tokens saved up.
Yeah,
And that's gonna be a
that is
good
Dark
game.
Jester's game. So, yeah, Dark Jester had a lot of frightening going on there. Like, I don't think that could have gone better for him.
Yeah, being able to draw the pieces that he did when he needed them, and starting off with a hand that was so strong and could keep its momentum going.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely very, very good. And you know, it's a unique playstyle of deck, but I really enjoy seeing that. I enjoy seeing Luna used in a different way than what we typically expect. And so we will congratulate our Applejack player on making it to the top 8.
Yes. Congratulations, Thomas.
And congratulations to Dark Jester. You are proceeding to the next round.
Yep. That third seed proceeding to top 4.
Yeah, looks very good.
So we know Skitter made it, because it sounds like Ponka had very, very bad luck there.
So we'll have to find out what happened with our mono-purple player in second seed.
And Feathers in 4th seed.
Yep. As we begin to move to the next round here, though, we're going to take a quick break on stream to double-check some stuff, so we will be back here shortly.
Okay.
Quick update from the floor. Looks like our other 2 games are well in progress. Let's see, that one's almost certainly going to go to time, and this one...
That's fine. We're going to adjust we're going to adjust some stuff with stream here while the other games are finishing up. So we will return shortly, viewers.